In this lesson, I want to go over the different resources that I'm going to be using throughout the course in order to provide AJAX, JSON data being returned from the server, as well as database interaction. So right now I've got brackets open, so this is the editor that I'm going to be using. And as well, I've also got a Chrome browser open, and I'm going to be using brackets as my main editor. This is a free open source text editor for web design and web development provided by Adobe, and you can get it at brackets.io. And of course, you can also use your own favorite browser or editor, so all depending on what you're familiar with and what you're comfortable with. So if you do want to try something else out, there's always brackets.io, which is a free download. Another resource that I'm going to be using within this course, so you notice that I do have localhost open here, and it is actually going to my main index page. And I'm also opening up at localhost/php myadmin, because we will need a database within this course in order to retrieve that data, add data into the database, and be able to update that data into the database. So we'll need to be able to set up a database, and what I'm utilizing for this is an application called XAMPP, which is available at apachefriends.org, available for download in Windows, Linux, OS X. Now, of course, if you already do have a local machine set up, if you're setting up a database in a different format as well, so you can utilize your own applications. But if you are looking for exactly what I'm going to be using within this course, I am going to be using XAMPP. I do have it running in the background. I've got the Apache, the MySQL services up and running. So all you have to do is, once you do the install, all you have to do is open up the panel, hit start, and you're ready to start interacting with some PHP code. And it's always a good idea to make sure that it is up and running. So just write a simple PHP echo. So echo is used to output content. So echo welcome to learning AJAX JSON will actually output this line of code over here. So we don't see that PHP syntax. And if you don't have PHP running, you're actually going to see the PHP syntax there. So this is just a quick way to see and check to see if you've got PHP up and running. And of course, go over to the localhost php myadmin just to make sure that you do have that database access. Now, I know there's a number of different ways to access databases, MySQL databases, so you're free to access it however you want. This is just a sample of what I'm going to be using within the course in order to illustrate the data coming in and sending data back and forth from the local machine. Also, I'm going to be using MyJSON, so myjson.com. This is a place where we can store JSON files online, access them. It also acts as a validator for JSON data, so we can put in some JSON data and interact with it. So this is going to be used to demonstrate interaction with JSON files, pulling that information back into our local web browser and actually interacting with it and seeing that data. So this is what we're going to be using, myjson.com, and this is just simply a storage place for JSON data online. So typically, if you do have a web server, you could just go ahead and use your own web server and send your JSON data back. And of course, if you're using your own web server, you do have the flexibility of outputting that JSON file and that JSON data from your database and making it more dynamic and interactive. So in the next lesson, I'm going to start introducing you to the topics that we're going to be covering off within this course, including going over a brief introduction to JSON and then a brief introduction to AJAX, and just an overview of how they work and how we're going to be implementing them within this project. So that's coming up in the next lesson.